Let's chat about how to truly love and be loved. The last few weeks of my dad's life, I sat near him on his bed, and it was just him and I, and we were just chatting. And it was very apparent that the end was near. And it was during that time, you might know, where the things that are really important become super clear. You know what I'm talking about? Our emotions were at the surface, and my dad looked at me and he said, "Mish, the most important thing isn't that you love me and that I love you. The most important thing is that you know that I love you and that I know that you love me." Isn't that a beautiful distinction? That's what we're going to talk about today, about how to show up like that for the people that we love, so that if we were to ever say something like that to them, that it would resonate with them the same way that it resonated with me when my dad said it. Because it's important to love someone, but if they don't know of or feel our love, what's the point, right? Okay, let's reverse it just for a second. Think about the dominant relationships in your life: your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your kids, maybe even like your really good friends. Do you know they love you? If so, how? How do you know that? Is it because they openly tell you? Or does it show through their actions? To me, actions are the most important. That is where love is manifest. After all, we know that love is a verb, right? It's an action word. My dad showed me he loved me by doing things that were important to me. We had dance parties, not elaborate ones, though we did have a couple of those. Most of our dance parties were just at-home dance parties. And my dad would cue a song and he would literally have it ready for me. The minute that I walked in the door, he would push play. He knew that that spoke to me. My dad thought about me when I wasn't with him, and then he shared those thoughts with me. We talked a lot, and I mean really talked. We talked about feelings and philosophies, and my dad knew that that's something that resonated with me. My dad also saw me through a lot of hard trials. And when things were at their worst, he sat on the floor and cried with me. He showed up for me in ways that supported me and in ways that were important to me. And guess what? My sisters would say that he showed up for them in completely different ways. I asked them to share with me some of the things that their thoughts. My sister Shelley said that he always had time for her. He paused whatever he was doing when she came into the room, even if it was TV, y'all, before TV was pausable, right? He would just immediately, "What do you need, Shell?" And she got what she needed, what she was going in there for. She got attention and she got his advice. She said he was very interested in what I liked. Then she said, "Not really." In other words, he wasn't really interested in that for himself, but he was interested in those things because his daughter was interested in those things. And here's an example. He took her to an amusement park. He hates amusement parks. They make him nauseous and sick. But he went with her and he rode the rides until he was sick and he couldn't ride the rides anymore. And he did that because he knew she liked it. She also shared a memory of, she used to go through this gas station drive-through every day on the way to work to get a drink. And sometimes he would buy things and leave them there with the attendant and ask the attendant to give them to her when she came through the line. My sister April, she said he did a lot of things with her one-on-one. He made it to all of her games, even the ones that were a little more trivial. He showed up for her. He knew that that was important to her. She said he would take her for drives and just talk with her in the car, maybe because that's the only place that worked for her to actually talk. She recalled a memory of a time that she poked her head in the room that my dad was in, and he was watching a game. And she said, "Hey, Dad, you want to play catch?" And he said, "Sure thing. My game's almost over. I'll, finish it, and then we can play." And she said, "Okay." And she walked away. And not a minute later, he was standing in the kitchen with the mitt in his hand. And she said, I thought you needed to finish your game." And he said, "I wanted to, but then I sat there and thought, if I don't get up, maybe we won't play catch. And maybe that would cause you to stop asking me to play with you. And I don't want you to ever stop asking me." My dad figured out how to love people the way that they felt it. And when we do this, we step into their world and we get them differently, right? Here's the question is so how do we do that? How do we figure that out? Let me tell you a couple of ideas. You can figure out their hobbies and their interests and then participate in those things with them. You can do things with them that either light them up or that are important to them or that allow you to show up for them in ways that look like support to them. You can figure out their love language. You can have that whole discussion, and then you can show up for them in their desired love language. Another thing that I love the idea of is just figuring out your people, knowing more about them. You can do lots of different personality tools to help you figure that out. My favorite is the Enneagram. I think it is fantastic, and it helps you understand your people more, the people that are around you, and then you can speak to them in their healing message or in whatever way that is going to resonate with them, just by figuring them out and spending a little bit of time thinking about those people in your life. Another option is that you can openly say or you can write the words, and that kind of depends on you and your preferences, and again, mostly on the way that they will receive it the most. But this is what you can do. Write the words, "I love you because," and then fill in the blank, and share that with them often. Naturally, as people, we tend to show up and love people the way that we would feel loved. And they might not even resonate with that, which is like wasted energy, right? It's not very effective. And so sometimes love is lost on that. And sometimes we just become complacent because of the busyness of life to even show up with the action side of the word at all. Loving extravagantly is something that takes action. And in the words of Bob Goff, who I love, he says, "Loving people lasts. Loving them extravagantly, not stingy, that lasts forever." Remember to love your people the way that they feel loved, because like my dad has showed me, it isn't important that he loved me and that I loved him. What's more important is that I know he loved me and that he knows I love him. If you guys want more messages like this, then check out some of my other videos. I'll see you guys soon.